So I don't bother with a lot of youths, and I don't bother with the atheists pulling out, claiming themselves to be logical, and then going by faith. Some scientist said this, and yet some prophet said this, and they accept what the scientist said. Both could be considered without proof. Both could be considered illogical and irrational. And both sides, if you want to constitute them as different, as opposite sides, which is what they're claiming they are on YouTube, both sides are by faith, illogical, irrational, and not reality-based. You have to understand my position. The possibility that we have the world around us is statistically insignificant. It's to the mathematical point, and the point has been made before by people that would call themselves atheists, or people that would call themselves evolutionists, or people who would call themselves evolutionists, I would suppose. The point has been made before that it is statistically, I suppose you could say, astronomical, tongue-in-cheek, it is statistically amazing that we would ever be here and that all this would ever be here. And the more you chalk up, the more statistics get completely out of control as far as being infinitesimal. And yet, to the atheist mind, it must be some amazing factor that excludes God. I don't see amazing factors as excluding God on many levels. In various scenarios. It is the will of man that is the problem. Jesus said money is the root of all kinds of evil. He didn't say money was the root of all evil. He said money was the root of all kinds of evil. People want money. They want this, they want that. Even the Christians complain about this, that you say you live according to God. And the sanctification process. That the idea that God would change you is completely unacceptable to Christians. Among other people that get into this religious thing, whoever they would be, people have an angle. You know, reporters used to say in the United States, they had a slang saying, "What's your angle?" So how are you approaching this? Always with the will of man. And the will of man, you know, in the Bible, it talks about man's thoughts were that God would not destroy man with a flood again, even though the intentions of his heart were always evil all the time. And there are people that buck against this. You can see evil around you, you call it evil. Yet you fail to see you are ensconced in that society. And people will do what their society does. Once again, the pot calling the kettle black. That is a saying that refers to multifarious examples of the same thing. That when you do it, it's kosher, it's okay, it's good. But when they do it, all of a sudden the tables are turned. And I do mean the tables are turned. All of a sudden, to speak of chess, or speak of the tables are turned in chess, when you're losing, all of a sudden you just spin the table and play on the winning side. Maybe until you start losing again. This is what logic is for on YouTube. It's there to prove their point. I had the experience when I commented on an atheist site. And, I was trying to just explain things. I was just trying to be sensible in the approach. I said, this is what I think, this is why I think it. And I saw multiple times my profile image was taken down repeatedly until I stopped commenting on this particular atheist site. Then my profile image stayed up. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I've heard another atheist speak that he felt he was being attacked by Christians. When he had problems with his account, he said, well, I thought it was Christians. This is what Christianity addresses: the unwillingness to deal with reality, whereon you can form a basis of logic. If you're not dealing in reality, but in some fanciful and fantasy idea that you were evolved, thinking that you are an animal, like what many people would eat, completely denies the concept of murder. You kill an animal. A lot of people don't call that murder. You kill a person, they do. Well, why? Someone may say both are just destroying the environment. But they accept irrationally against their own behavior illogical premises like that. Things that are consummately and obviously denied, whether it be religion or people that claim they don't have a religion, whether they do or they don't, supposedly. Whether they call themselves rational, it is pointless to argue with people who have no intention of understanding what people who will listen accept as, let me see what I got on time here, accept as self-evident. So that's what I'm talking about. And I'm going to shut it about here. God bless you all. Things about whether God exists. The idea of a transformed life, the idea of the Bible characters in the New Testament not matching up to Christianity today in any corner of the world, for the most part, shows what we're dealing with. So thank you. Bye.